So I guess, Jack, maybe I'll jump into the financial statements of item 19.
Sure, please.
So the way I would answer that is I think that item 19, for those of you who haven't looked at an FDD, is the historical financial analysis of the franchisees in the system. I would caution you, however, that that is giving you a benchmark. It's giving you some high level guidance on how you should build out your own business model, but it's not the end all be all. Some franchisors don't even have an item 19, and I think that is fine, because remember, you're building your own business model and you're not evaluating it like you would evaluate buying an apartment building. So when you're thinking about this business and you're thinking about item 19 and talking to franchisees, the dollars in your due diligence are only going to give you a range of where the business is going to end up. The most important part of your due diligence is, who are the human beings involved in this franchise? Do I like them? Do I trust them? And is this something that I can get involved with? So hopefully that helps.
It's a really good point. Thank you for that, Tom. And yeah, and really, and just to add one more point, it's the franchisees in the system, what we've seen, and that's a lot of times we'll actually talk to them before we present a franchise to a client. They are usually the best resource because of the fact that they will tell you what the good, the bad, and ugly of the franchise system. So that's pretty much an invaluable resource that all of our clients, we strongly stress that they utilize before investing in the franchise. So now let's jump to Mohammed's question. I'm interested to immigrate by investment. What is the minimum amount? So the minimum amount is dictated by the type of investor visa. If we're talking about an E2 or an L1 investor visa, there's no stated minimum amount. But from what we've seen, it's typically for an E2, if someone invests over $100,000, typically over $150,000, there's no issue at all. People might run into issues, though, when they try to invest significantly lower than that, because what happens is when they go to the consulate to present their case for the E2 application, the consulate will look at the business case and the business plan and how much they plan to invest and their role in the business. And if they think that the business is not viable and it's just a marginal business that would only support them and not be able to hire any sort of American workers and grow, then they might not approve it. What we've seen is someone invests over especially $150,000 and up, haven't seen any issue. Next question, or for Mohammed, or for everyone, we will be sharing the video recording. It'll be on YouTube, and also the presentation you'll receive after. So don't worry about that. Question from Moshe. How do you solve the pending status of the E2 visa candidates in case the visa is denied? That is the role of an immigration attorney. So it's not Visa Franchise as your business consultant. It's not Tom or Spadea Law as your franchise attorney. It's your immigration attorney is the one that's really integral to the visa application and the status, and if there's any sort of issues with that. That's why for us is we like to do this as a team, where each organization, each firm, each company does what they do best and what they specialize in. So we're not going to give any sort of franchise legal advice. We're not going to give any sort of immigration legal advice. What we will do is we will give franchise consulting, business evaluation advice, because that's all we focus on, and that's our expertise.
And I can tell some, obviously, I'll caveat this by saying it's very specific to your specific situation. But we, as the franchise attorney, voice to the franchisor in our addendum, is we'll work hand in hand with the immigration attorney to get a sense of the timing. How long is it going to be until that? I hear that echo, Jack. How long is it going to be? How long is it going to be until you get your application seen, and then we'll tease out, because for franchisors that, especially if it's a franchisor maybe that hasn't done a lot of immigrant visas, is that they have a much tighter time frame hey, you come here, you evaluate, you come meet the management team, and you make a decision in 4 to 6 weeks to buy the franchise or not. Well, that doesn't always work. Obviously, in these situations, the time can be dragged out a little bit more. So what we do is it's our credibility as franchise attorneys to sort of be the go-between between what's happening on the status of the E2 and position it the best we can with the franchisor, that obviously, keeps the franchise viable and protects you as much as possible. So it's a very specific. It depends on your country, your visa application, and the franchise itself that we've analyzed.
Thank you for that, Tom. So I have another question that we're asked is how long will the process take? This is a very good question, and from what we've seen, our experience, I'd say on the lower end, it's 1 month. If someone knows what they want to do, they're willing to move fast. Their schedule is flexible, where they could start speaking to franchisors directly, the franchisee. They can go to the franchise discovery day. Some individuals can do it in a month. It's actually not too difficult. Other individuals, they want to take 8 months. It really depends on the individual and how fast they want to move, what they're willing to do. On average, what we see is 3 to 4 months for someone to go through the whole process. On the visa franchise side, once the individual becomes a client of ours and we take them through our process, understand their individual case, the individual characteristics, from that time forward, usually our analysis, research, due diligence, and putting together the analysis report of the best investment opportunities. Usually that takes anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks. But after that, the ball is really in the court of the client, and the process will move as fast or as slow as they want to move. Did you have any other questions that you found or you get asked a lot, or something that you want to go over? Oh, you're still on mute, by the way.
There you go. Perfect. One of the questions we always get is, what's the best franchise to work with? And, that's something that we say that that's the purpose of visa franchises, that there's so many franchises out there that it really is not a simple question. Trust me, I'm a franchise attorney. At every time I, travel, or I go to a reunion, or I'm at dinner with someone, people say, what's the best franchise? That's a very personal question. And I think that it's an evaluation of, where do you see yourself in business and what do you want to be? And, that question about how much money can I make and all of that, is you're really going into business for yourself. And I think if you're putting that mindset on, that what you're investing in is simply a business methodology, but it's your business. And so if you're going into that pet care business, you have to do your own research. You have to think about it. You're not buying a job, you're getting an opportunity. So I'd say that's the most, that's the most common question that you get, that you're not, the engineers and the scientists and the accountants sometimes get frustrated, because although you get a lot of information, at the end of the day, you get a certain amount of information, but you have to always still be an entrepreneur, and you have to always pull the trigger on buying the business. As I said a few times, it's not a mutual fund. It's not a apartment building you're buying. You're going into business for yourself. You're just not going to be by yourself. You're part of a franchise system. So I think that is probably the most common question and anxiety that people have of, how come I don't have all the information? Because the business doesn't exist yet. You're creating that business. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, and then if I could just add on to that, Tom, I think it's a really good point you brought up. And that's why our approach at Visa Franchise is very based off the individual and their family, and a ton of factors like their goals, where they want to live, their background experience. All of these factors will indicate what are the best franchise opportunities that most closely align with what an individual wants to do. And that's been our approach, because there's no one franchise where it's, oh yeah, this is the best one. It really depends on the individual's characteristics. So that's a very, very good point. And Tom, did you have any other questions? We're rounding up the hour. So unless you have anything else, what I'd like to do.
Just want to thank you again for including me, and I look forward to meeting people on this call.
Of course, our pleasure. And then I want to thank you as well for joining. I think it really helps us and all the listeners to hear your experience. You have a very unique background, and you've worked with a lot of different franchisors and franchisees. So it's a very unique experience and knowledge base. And then just on another note is for anyone looking at doing a franchise, we've had many clients work with Tom and his law firm, and they've all have been very positive in their experience. Even with all of our background as a franchise, and me personally, Jack Condaro, I used to work at a very large and global franchisor. I would hire a franchise attorney. I would hire Tom if I was going to do a franchise investment. It's that important, and it's that specific of a law where you definitely want a very good advisor and firm that knows what they're doing. So with that, I want to thank everyone. Our contact information is at the bottom of this last slide. We'll send it out to everyone, and please feel free to reach out to us anytime.